Green, blue, and gray, that's what we rock. Hawk Tawk, ride with us. Glad to hear y'all dropped in. Hawk Tawk, slide with us. Walt and Dave get locked in, and let's go.
Hey guys, it's Dave DeRocher. This is Hawk Tawk. Hey Walter, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing good. How you doing, man?
Well, doing good. I'm on my cell phone tonight because for the last 15 minutes, trying to figure out how to get logged in through my laptop, and for some reason Pete wasn't reading my laptop, and I'm not you, so I couldn't fix it. I don't know.
Little technical difficulties,
Yes.
It happens. It happens.
Well, I'm glad I got on early because I'm not real efficient with all this stuff. But hey, and speaking of Pete, Pete, how you doing, brother? We're back. It's been a couple of months. It's good to have you back. I don't know if we can hear Pete, but
nope.
Good to be
there
back.
he is.
Hey, there I am. Threw me off there for a second. I'm like, oh, you want me on? Hey, what's going on?
Yep.
Good to see everybody.
Just checking in so people can see the person behind the scene and the person we get to blame when it doesn't go right.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
No, everyone knows this is a 60-year-old concussed guy. There's no secrets. Hey, so Walter, coaching football, man, and I don't remember where we left off on our last show. I know we've kind of had a couple sporadic shows and a little bit of check-ins, but this is our official kickoff for the season. And for those that haven't been watching, you're finally coaching football. So how's it going?
Finally coaching football. Yeah, we had a 2-week mandatory break the past couple of weeks starting in June, and now we're getting back into the swing of things and coaching the DBs out there. So it's been some work. It's a new program, so we've had a new head coaching change. So implementing a new defense. The offense is pretty much the same as last year with some modifications, but as far as defense, is a new scheme that I'm familiar with. But we are running some cover 3, little different than how we ran it in Seattle, but nonetheless, just trying to get these young DBs, in proper shape.
Wow, so you got to throw a little Pete Carroll on them.
It's funny because everyone said cover 3, and thinking that it's universal. It's really not, though. There's so many different variations and ways to run the cover 3 scheme, and so it's I've seen it when leaving Seattle and going to New York, and how they ran their cover 3 and how it was kind of taught. It was it's a little bit different, more traditional in some of the formations and stuff. And now coming here, and we're running a 3-3-5 is the defense scheme there.
Okay.
And so you have the extra defensive back that's on the field, kind of that hybrid safety linebacker player. So you give a little bit more pressure that's kind of incorporated, and it's kind of a straight solid cover 3. So it's a lot of different tasks for the underneath defenders there. So it's kind of been it's really getting the communication down, the job responsibility down, right? It's like, we know what cover 3 does, what it's meant to stop from a pass game, but now you're speaking on what's the weakness of the defense? And now once you start getting to try to defend all these different type of routes, it can get very convoluted real fast. And I think that's one thing that we kind of specialized in with Seattle was that, you have a cover 3 for your base personnel, and then you have a cover 3 when it's a 10 personnel when there's 3 receivers on the field, or if there's 4 receivers on the field, you run a different type of cover 3 that kind of lends itself to be more pass focused and not necessarily run focused. So, that's where we're kind of, figuring things out and kind of, seeing what works, what doesn't, having those communication conversations amongst the coaching staff on, just really getting on the same page.
Yeah, 3-3-5 gets tricky with gap control and, responsibility, and you get 2 cats in 1 gap, and then the DB's all 8 yards or 5 yards back. It could be tough, but it could also be very daunting for an offensive lineman not knowing where you guys are bringing blitz package from, and you get into your stance, you see a bunch of guys standing. It's easy to count the down guys, but then you start counting up guys. Is that a Mike, or is that a strong safety, or is that a Will? What the heck are we looking at?
It's funny too, because it's like most of my career I've been in 4-3 scheme. I guess when I last bit of Seattle or in Philly, I was in a 3-4 a little bit. But within the scat scheme, to your point, is that you're only bringing 3 linemen all the time. So if you want a fourth rusher, I don't consider the fourth person, even though he's off the line of ball, as a blitz per se.
Right.
Right. It's just the fourth rusher.
Right.
You seen that fifth guy, now you're bringing pressure. And so like that's kind of an interesting kind of concept there. Because like to your point, like, yeah, it could be one of the four guys that are in the box there, five guys really, that can come in any direction. So I can see how it can be a task for the offensive lineman of not knowing who am I going to pick up if this guy just comes and shoots the gap, whether it's inside or outside. So I guess it poses advantages, from a defensive structure.
And well, especially if you guys are disciplined and you can slant them, and you can protect the outside gap, because man, you start getting defensive linemen slant man to man, it makes it a little bit easier because you can double team and look to the next level. But if that cat up front's moving on top of the guys in the backfield moving, and that offensive line is not very well coached on zone scheme, oh my gosh, it could be a nightmare for them.
Yeah, we're still getting there. It's baby steps with some of these guys out here. So we're getting there. And then when the pads aren't on, the pads won't come on for another few weeks. So it's kind of, it's tough trying to teach football physicality, because this defense predicates itself to be really physical. So it's like it's really making sure what your gap scheme is, what your assignment is. Then when the pads come on, then you get to see who's who, right? Some guys look good with no pads, and some guys, look better with the pads on. So,
I already know what's in store for those young men, because when you're throwing blitz packages at a girls' flag football team, I know what you guys are going to be doing. You'll be running around. So, and I've been running around a lot of high schools with the Ambassadors of Compassion program, and giving the mental health message out there, and the program we have with emotional resiliency, and going to schools. I've been hit up to coach our buddy Coach Hatch over at Huntington Beach.
Oh, he tried to scoop you in, huh?
He did, and man, I think I may have said yes, but I really have to sit back and truly evaluate. Can I do it? In earnest. Can I really, put the time? He goes, you don't need me. A kid that played at San Diego State, his last name is Pope, is their main offensive line coach that's on staff. And I would be like an assistant O-line coach dealing with the centers and guards, and then being up in the booth, and giving, the Pope the eyes up in the deal. And
run game.
Seeing where the gap stuff's coming from, gap pressure, where their weaknesses would be. Man, I was all in. I was like, oh my gosh, I've been wanted to do this for 10 years since I stopped doing it, up north, and the time's just not right. I had to really just be honest and step back and say what I want to do and what I should be doing right now. I just can't do it, and so I can't wait. I can't wait, because I know you're having a great time, and I love working with kids, and so it's when the timing's right, we'll get back to it. So anyhow, so we've been talking about high school football, but this show's about the Seahawks, and what an off season. It was across the board. There's just a lot of movement. I don't know if it's maybe I'm paying more attention, but there's a lot of guys with a lot of different teams. Rosters look completely different.
Yeah, especially our offense, our defense. We know what defense looks like, minus a couple pieces here and there, but that offense. It's a new beast there, and I know Brendan's going to come in here and let us, give us the get down of what's going on. But it's not the Seahawks from last season, so it's exciting.
It is not, and I don't know where they're going to cut on the defensive side. They just keep adding, quality names. And I just read that they did re-sign Uchenna, reworked his contract. So all these other names that are being flown around, I didn't even hear Uchenna's name being mentioned, but we all know that he can be a beast if healthy. And then the DBs, I don't know how many we have right now coming into camp, like 12, but they just keep signing guys.
You foster competition, right? Because you have so many quality guys, and you kind of put an emphasis on like it's a tough room to be in. Whether it's DB room or the linebacker room or D line room. Obviously, the receiving core. There's a lot of guys out there trying to fight for that third spot. That's going to be kind of interesting. Can't be surprised if some names some guys that might be fan favorites, get released at the end of the season just because of, or not the end of the season, but at the end of the training camp, just because of how much depth there is on this team, though. And I mean, you got to have depth if you want to make a run, because injuries are inevitable. But then it also puts pressure on those guys that are starters that don't have big contracts, that allow them to continue to play at a high level to keep their spot, earn their spot, and again, it just fosters that championship culture, really.
Well, I'll tell you, I read enough and I follow enough with the 12s and people and their opinions on stuff. So I know this is a lot of people aren't going to share my opinion, but I'll tell you the moves that we made. I mean, there were some big ones, and I think they were completely necessary. Lock was such a great name, but I think the timing was perfect for it, and the other one, in my opinion, just always seemed to be horrible timing to be a problem, and a horrible time for turnovers. The two other guys, great quality, great players, but I just think it was perfect. And the ones that were brought in, I think it's just kind of like, I think it's going to mold. I'm real excited about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so now that's our brief overview. And because we are kicking off the new season. Oh, and just so you know, I don't know if I can mention his name, but Blitz is at an event tonight.
Go Blitz.
yeah, I gotta stay with Blitz. I don't want to. I always say the wrong thing. I always ask current players about their injuries, and then I don't want to call Blitz out by name. But Blitz, a friend of the show, Walter and I, if you didn't catch it, we were out in Pasadena giving shoes to kids that were affected by the fires. Blitz has a whole program where he gives shoes away. He was down here in LA in conjunction with the Rams and the Rams mascot and whatever his name is. But, it was really great to give out brand new Nike shoes to about 60 or 70 kids that were affected by the fire. And we got to know him. And he's a friend of the show. He goes, actually, I've been watching it. I want to come on. But he's got an event tonight. He was in Alaska last night. And he's got an event where he's giving stuff away tonight. And so hopefully next week we'll have him on the show. I was hoping to have him on the kickoff show. But we do have our Seahawk expert. And if you don't know Brendan Spockhawk, just listen, and he is going to give you the rundown and give us the rundown. So we know what to look for this preseason. Brendan, I know you're back there.
Hello. Thank you for having me on. How are you guys doing tonight?
Good, my man. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing pretty good. Good to see you guys again.
Absolutely. Yeah, you're a great friend of the show, and we rely on you and your expertise. Now, one thing I have to ask is how is the other gig going? You started doing help me out. You started doing a national show, didn't you?
I'm doing a couple of I'm on Bleacher Report, if that's what
Bleacher Report.
About. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's been going well. I've been doing a show there every week. We did a bunch of fun stuff for the draft. We're taking a little bit of a break because there's nothing going on right now until the preseason starts. But once the preseason starts, I'm going to go back to doing a show a week there.
Oh, good. All right. And how's that going for you?
It's going good, man. It's going good. Right now, things are slow. There's not a lot to talk about, right?
Right.
We're in that dead zone.
But
we're almost out of it.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to get started now because, as I mentioned, you can see I'm on my cell phone. My computer didn't work, and I knew we'd have these kind of things going. So thanks for hopping on with us. So looking forward to your assessment of all the moves. Gosh, we had for as long as I can remember. Just really noteworthy moves. What were your thoughts? What are your thoughts over all of our free agency, and then maybe delve into offensively your top picks or your where we're still needing some help, and then also defensively.
Well, to me, the most important thing that was done with this team in the offseason, particularly in terms of what I would call the positive, would be the change made at the offensive coordinator position. And I think that's going to weigh more heavily than any player that we signed or traded or whatever, because I'm looking at Clint Kubiak here. I'm thinking about Clint Kubiak. There's going to be a lot on his shoulders to get right here. And I like Kubiak. I think that Kubiak's done some good things so far in his career. He's only had a few opportunities. The opportunities he's had have not been, they've not necessarily been the best situations. Like last year, he was the offensive coordinator for the Saints, and they lost all their players throughout the season. Derek Carr got hurt. I think Spencer Rattler got hurt. Chris Olave always getting concussed. The offensive line got hurt. He lost all his players. When they were healthy, they were cooking. Those first few games of the year for the Saints, their offense was great. And Kubiak, I think, understands it. We know that his dad is an NFL legend, 3-time Super Bowl winner as a coach. And I like his approach to the game. And I'm really looking to him to bring this together, because this Seahawks team, this Seahawks offense in particular, they didn't exactly do a lot to address the offensive line in terms of adding veterans. They've added young players, right? They've added rookies. They drafted Gray Zabel. And they're going to hope that they get big improvements from guys like Christian Haynes. They're going to hope that Abe Lucas is healthy this year. They're going to hope that all these things happen in 2025. But Kubiak's going to have to find a way to make these players look as good as they possibly can. And last year, the Ryan Grubb thing, when I think of Ryan Grubb, the thing that I really think about is he was all about trying to exploit mismatches over and over. That was the main thing that he was focused on as an offensive coordinator, exploiting mismatches. But when that's all you do, you lose track of the bigger picture of needing to set up plays. And you look at Kubiak last year, that Saints offense, one thing that he understands is how to string together play calls, where he will set up a play 5 plays down the line with the plays that he's running leading up to that play, where he will hit play action, and then he hits a play action, but it's a dump off to the running back who was going to get the play action anyway, and the defense isn't necessarily ready for it. So I'm looking for things like that, because I do believe there has been, at the very least, something of a talent downgrade in Seattle offensively. To offset that, you're going to need some great play calling and some great play design. And to me, that is the most important thing here. We need Clint Kubiak to be on point.
So Walt, those two different type of approaches to way an offense is called. Does that resonate with you? And what has your experience been with that? Is it recognizable by the defense?
Like going against an offense, like a particular offensive coordinator?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it comes down to the individual. Like I had a DB coach, Marquand Manuel, who played 18 years in league. He would have notebooks on offensive coordinators. He played safety. He would have notebooks on offensive coordinators that he would play against. And so it wasn't the team. He wasn't playing against the team. He was playing against the offensive coordinator, right? So I mean, is it going to be a different type of offense? For sure. Because I mean, you have a different type of receiving core, for one, that's going to be out there. They're going to have different goals and different targets within that situation. To Brandon's point of, they were trying to exploit the mismatches last season. That may not be the case here. They may be looking more to incorporate more guys, get the ball in guys' hands to kind of, make things happen within that capacity. So, I mean, it's going to be tough to see once we start getting to preseason, because then that's when you start to get the blueprint of what's going on with that particular team and how that offensive coordinator's playbook meshes with the receiving core that we have, the running game, the blockers, right? Because things are going to have to get adjusted if we're not able to protect the quarterback as well, right? Or if the run game is very efficient, they may change. We might be looking to run the ball more than with all these receivers that we have, in these weapons to throw the ball to. So, I mean, I think it's early to tell right now, because I mean, because the pads aren't on. Some guys look better. Again, some guys look better with pads on. With shirts and shorts and shorts. Then when the pads come on, then it doesn't look the same out there, right? And so now you're kind of scrambling, trying to figure out, does this guard work with this tackle? You're trying to find that mesh, because again, everything starts in the trenches there, right? Especially on the offensive side of the ball. So if we're not getting no protection, if we're not getting no push on the on the run game, we could have all the best receivers in the world, but if we can't get them the ball, it doesn't even matter.
Yeah, when Brendan was mentioning that setup philosophy of run a play, and then that play has then really set up what he was wanting to do the first time out. Is last year at the Niners game, and I was watching Kittle come down like chip block and going to the backside, and really not doing anything, but he did it like 3 times. I go, you know what? That is so wide open, and then son of a gun, It wasn't like, chip block down, wheel route, boom, touchdown.
Yeah,
It was,
and then for that too, though, it's like that's why they always say like quarterbacks carry out your boots, carry out your boots. It's that same type of situation because it's keeping the defense honest. After a while, they're gonna get lulled to sleep, and if they're not sound on, I was like, they ran this play 3-4 times in some capacity. He's just booting his. Now he's running off with the ball, and you get a play that's out there, right? So I mean, I think it works in some benefits. I mean, that's kind of traditionally how a lot of it is, right? It's run, play action. Run, drop back pass, right? So, it's going to be interesting to see the dynamic of, I didn't, not watch much Saints football. I don't know how much Saints football you watched, Brendan, last season, but I mean, you could probably have a sense of, the style that he's looking to bring to this capacity, though.
Isn't it more like a 2 tight end set? Like a, and a fullback, running back, kind of the old Seahawk kind of.
Hey, I have a question to Brad. Hey, does he run a similar offense like his dad ran?
Kind of in some ways, in the sense that he really likes 2 tight end stuff. Okay. He really likes 2 back stuff. He does the fullback stuff, which is very, very rare that you have a modern NFL offense with a fullback. Like you've got the Niners, they have Juszczyk, they like to use him. The Ravens like to use Kyle Ricard a lot, but other than that, you're not going to find a lot of teams out there that really like the fullback. Kubiak does. Now, the NFL's changed over the last 20, 30 years, so you can't do exactly what Gary did.
Yeah.
And I know my camera's kind of acting up a little bit. Sorry about that.
But we hear you fine, so that's okay. You're good. Just keep doing it. Yeah.
But we know he likes to run the ball, which I think is the right thing to do for this team. This team has their offensive talent concentrated in the backfield. Mm-hmm. Our receivers are certainly good and interesting, but one concern that I have about them is that Torrey Horton is missing some of the offseason because he's injured. That's our top rookie wide receiver. That's a guy I would have expected a lot of things from this year, but when you miss your first NFL offseason, it's tough to do much once you get on the field. Like that's just common sense, right? It's one thing if you've had an NFL offseason before, but when you're missing reps in your first ever NFL offseason, that's hard to overcome. So I think you got to run the ball, and I think you got to lean on your tight ends, because right now we actually have a little bit of a logjam at tight end, if anything. Yeah. You've got Noah Fant, you've got the Arroyo, and you've got AJ Barner. So I think that leaning on those tight ends and your backs, because you've also got, by the way, Damian Martinez. I really like Damian Martinez, the 7th round rookie we got from Miami. He's really exciting. And of course, Charbonnet with Walker, and Walker should be perfect for this outside zone running scheme that Kubiak runs, by the way. It should be a run first team as much as they can get away with, I think.
Yeah.
It's almost reminiscent. I'm thinking of, Chuck Knox days we had Tice, we had John L. Williams and Kurt Warner in the backfield, and it was just off tackle zone, man, and very little inside stuff, and then a lot of counter trays, and of course every once in a while we throw a ball to a guy by the name of Steve Largent, and he was open a lot. So it sounds a lot like what we were running way back in the day.
Yeah.
So what do you think? What do you think, Brendan, of Cooper coming over?
Cooper Kupp?
Yeah.
Well, that's an interesting one because there's so much variance with Kupp. I think that Kupp can still play. The issue is, how is he going to stay healthy? Is he going to be able to stay on the field? Because the last few years, he's had a hard time staying on the field. He can still play when he's on the field, but there's every reason to believe that he's kind of at the point where his body is starting to break down a little bit. So
but don't you see him as being? Don't you see him being a little bit? He doesn't have to have the same number of touches either. I mean, think about those 2 years until Nakoa stepped up. He was the only guy they had. I mean, you would look at a drive and he was touching the ball 3 out of 5 plays, just to keep the ball moving down the field. So I don't think he needs to play that role, and he could just be Cooper and find an opening and be the 3rd down guy. Relieve
JSN.
Thank you. That kind of stuff. So is Bobo still a factor? Is Bobo still gonna be around, you think?
I'm not really sure about that. That's tough because
Yeah.
I don't think
That's what I was alluding
No.
to earlier. I was alluding to he may not be out here.
Yeah.
In special teams, I mean, if he can make himself irreplaceable on special teams, they can get that third or fourth position, then like he makes a team.
All right, I think that's what it's going to take because we're not going to use receivers as much as Grubb did. Like Grubb loved his receivers; he was in 3 receiver sets all the time.
Yeah.
Kubiak's not going to be like that, so you have less opportunities as a receiver in this offense. To me, where Bobo can maybe make a difference and get on the field would be his run blocking because in previous years he was a very good run blocker. Last year, though, I don't think he was much of a run blocker, so I don't know if that is going to earn him any credit here under a new coordinator. And beyond all that, I think the thing to consider is that Bobo is kind of an oversized slot receiver. We've kind of already got a crowded slot receiver room because you've got JSN and Cooper Kupp does a lot of stuff from the slot as well. So
he's more of a slot receiver. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we've touched on every position on the offense except for probably the biggest one, and maybe even the biggest question mark because we saw Sam have a blowout, fantastic season, and then probably left a couple million on the table by the final 2 games of the season, including the playoff game where he was getting killed. But nonetheless, it's still performance based.
But I think he benefited from having a strong running game and some of the play action pass, and then you get the defense on their heels because your run game is pretty effective there. And then obviously you have one of the best receivers that you're throwing the ball to. I mean, even if you go back to some of the film there, it's like he was just wide open for no reason, and it doesn't even make sense why he was just by himself out there. So like, I mean, a lot of it's probably blown coverages earlier on in the season. There you go, but if we're going to be a run-first team, then, you're taking the ball out of Sam's hands and putting it into our running backs. You're still utilizing the play action where, you're creating space, guys to be able to have that leverage out there. And, I mean, he can throw the ball. So, he can still drop back and sling the rock in that capacity. And then you have really good, possession type of receivers that can still hit the home run with Kupp and Jigma there. It's gonna be easy though. I don't think he's gonna take over a game, but I think he will be efficient.
He doesn't need to.
Yeah, I think he doesn't need to, especially if we're gonna be run focused first, right? It's controlling the clock. The defense is stacked, so we're gonna really rely on the defense there to get the ball back in some capacity. Control the clock. I mean, it's gonna be. Coach came from Baltimore. That's kind of what they ran too, right? Run the game, control the clock, play stout defense. Pete did the same thing. So, I mean, we're kind of getting back to, roots of kind of what Seahawks football has been kind of identified going to like that that Super Bowl run and beyond there. So we're starting to get back into that, hey, we're going to control the clock. We're going to be physical at the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. And, and we have good receivers too, if we want to get a little area. So
what are your thoughts, Brendan, and just on Sam overall and, maybe not so much the choice has been made, but what do you feel his strengths are, and what do you how do you see we utilizing him the best?
Well, he's a physical specimen, right? He's pretty big as far as quarterbacks go.
He's 6'5".
I remember when he came out of college, one of the things was he's big like a linebacker. He can run people over, and he does have a little bit of that in his game that still carries over to this day. So that's kind of fun. That's kind of interesting. But I do think clearly he is a player that you can win with because the Vikings won with him last year. I don't know if he's necessarily a player you're going to be able to win because of. I think that last year Kevin O'Connell, Kevin O'Connell did a fantastic job, and Kevin O'Connell's great. He's one of the best coaches in the league, I believe.
Aztec, by the way, San Diego State Aztec. Just want to let you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. So I'm a little bit concerned about what might happen if Kubiak isn't able to accomplish the same things that KOC did. And of course, he had Justin Jefferson last year, and Justin Jefferson might be the best receiver in football. He does not have that here. Like we got some good players, but we don't have Justin Jefferson.
All right.
So I think the key is going to be, well, okay, what can we do? And I think the answer is run the ball. This team can run the ball better than even the Vikings did last year, I think. We've got multiple good running backs. We've got a good scheme with Kubiak's outside zone scheme. We have a variety of good running backs too, right? These guys play very differently from each other. K9, very different from Zach Charbonnet, very different from Damian Martinez, very different from Kenny McIntosh as well.
And McIntosh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I would say also we have a defense that I think should be one of the best in the league. So you're going to be able to run the ball because you shouldn't be falling behind by 17, 20 points in a lot of these games. So it should come together there. But I think that in order to have success with Sam Darnold at quarterback, you're going to have to really establish that run. And I think that's what it's going to take.
I think so far the first half of the show has been right on the pulse of what most people are saying, and it's a great segue, Brennan. The defense. I think that's what everybody's excited about. So I wanted to talk about them second because I want to end this thing on a high note because I mean I just so much see like Walter and what you guys look like coming in young and just athletes and wanting to compete. I guess let's start, Brennan. Let's start with the D line. I know we have the old sage, but gosh, huge season last year. What his 10th year, huge season. But then we've got some youngsters too that really are promising. What are your thoughts on the D line?
It should be, if you're just talking about the interior, should be one of the best groups in the entire NFL because Byron Murphy should take a big step forward this year.
Yeah.
It should be big because he's very talented. He was very good in college. And last year, he did not do a ton. He played fine. He did his job. He held his own, but there wasn't a big impact from him. That should change this year. Remember, last year, he's 21 years old. That's very young for an NFL player. Yeah. Things should be different this year. And I'm sure you're talking about Leonard Williams when you say, the guy who had the incredible year.
Yeah.
That he will not be as good this year as he was last year because he was so good last year. It's almost impossible that you could be that good again.
Right.
But that'll be offset. To me, the big question about the interior is who's the nose tackle? Because Leonard Williams is a 3-tech. Byron Murphy is best at 3-tech. Is Jaron Reed going to be nose tackle? Because that's what he did at Alabama. That's what he did well. And there's been a lot of talk over the last couple of years that Jaron Reed might benefit the most from playing at that nose, at that 1-tech spot. And if he does that, I think things kind of come together because then you've got Jonathan Hankins. He's up there in age, right? He's 33 now or something like that.
Yeah.
So I don't want to be putting him on the field too much. So if Jaron Reed can be the nose, and then
is he an undersized? Would he be an undersized nose? I don't see. Is he?
Okay. They have listed at 315.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
He's a little undersized.
Undersized. I mean, for a nose tackle with that type of defense, right? You want at least 30.
At the end of the day, though, either you can do it or you can't. And he was nose tackle out of Alabama, and he was great at it. And in the NFL, in the opportunities he's had to be a nose, he's looked good. So if we can get a good nose tackle year out of him, that's as good of a defensive line rotation as there will be in the entire league. That is as good as it gets, and that's what I'm looking to see. I think that will be an unstoppable defensive line rotation if Jaron Reed can hold up at nose.
All right. What about our edge guys? We've got some talent there. We got some age. We got some talent. We have some injury-prone guys. I brought up Buchanan earlier. They just re-signed him. Reworked his contract and made it incentive-based. If he can stay on the field, he can make the money. And if he can stay on the field, I know he'll make the money because he's proven it. It's just keeping him on the field. But what overall do you think of our edge guys, B?
Well, I was a big fan of the DeMarcus Lawrence signing. We brought him in from Dallas. He's a great player. He doesn't put up big stats, but he's a very good player. He's one of those guys who just kind of grinds out there, does his job, stays in his lane, knows his role, and he's not going to have the huge numbers, but he's going to help your team win. I'm very interested to see what Boye Mafe does this year because the Boye Mafe thing, I think last year was going to be his big breakout year. I think that last year was going to be the year he was going to launch into maybe even star territory. And then I think he injured his leg against New England and played through it for most of the year. So he didn't really have that great of a year. This might end up being that year where he really puts it all together because the arc of his career so far indicates that he should have one more push up into the better edge rushers in the league. And I think that is going to be our primary pass rusher this year.
Yeah, well, his name was certainly heard his name mentioned a lot, whether he was, pressure or hits on the quarterback or sacks. I mean, he was just always in the backfield. What are your thoughts on Uchenna?
I thought he played well when he came back last year. Those last 4 games or so, that last month, I thought he was good. So I know he can still do it. And honestly, I think he's gotten a little unlucky, right? Like last year, his major injury last year was the Wyatt Teller thing, where I mean that's just something that happens. Like you get hit like that, you're going to get hurt. So I don't know how injury prone he is and how unlucky he's been, but I'm good with it. I think that he's somebody worth keeping around, and I'm excited to see what he can do in 2025. I think he still has gas left in the tank.
Yeah.
All right.
I think, and it's also like a cost-efficient signing too, right? Because I mean, he wasn't coming off the injury. It's like a kind of a prove it type of situation. You got, it's incentive based, so you're going to get maximum effort when he's on the field, especially in those third down passing situations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know it freed up like 11 million in cap or 12 million in cap almost by them reworking that deal. And to your point, Walter, is like, I love incentive based. Look, man, if you're chasing dollars, you're making plays no matter what the score is, no matter what our record is. You want to get those incentives, and that's the way they used to be when we were playing. It was, it's a chunk of money, but everything was, make this, make that, do this, do that, and it was then you just rack up the dollars, and I love those. So that makes sense to me. What do you think about our linebacking core then?
I think it's good. I think it's good enough to get the job done. We brought Ernest Jones back on a really good deal, by the way. That ended up being a better contract than I was anticipating with Ernest Jones, so that was great. And Tyrese Knight was not a guy I thought was going to be doing a lot as a rookie, but I think he was good last year. I think he was a good player, and it would be very weird if he was a good rookie who wasn't good going forward, right? Like you're supposed to improve as a player as time goes by. That's just how this league works. Yeah. So I look at those two guys and I feel good about it. There's not a lot of depth though. Behind those two guys, you got Drake Thomas, who's barely played. Pat O'Connell has barely played. Josh Ross is somebody that McDonald brought over from Baltimore, but he's barely played. So I don't know what's going on there. I don't have a great feel for that, but the top two guys, I feel like you can go to war with those two.
All right, and then what everybody knows is this DB core. What does that DB room look like? What do you think is going to emerge there? Because there's a lot of names.
Kobe Bryant at safety is going to be interesting.
Oh yeah, I think he's good, man. I think that Kobe found his natural position last year at safety. I was pretty happy about that. But to me, the interesting thing is Emin Wari. Where are we going to play him? Because he's a safety, but we've got both our safety spots kind of filled. So they're saying he might play a lot of nickel corner this year. Maybe that's how he gets on the field. Is that going to allow Witherspoon to go outside full time? And if so, what does that mean for a guy like a Josh Joby? Is he going to be able to play? We just signed Shaq Griffin a couple weeks ago. Is he just going to be a backup? How are we going to fit all these guys onto the field? Because you've got Julian Love. He's still back there. He's routinely being ranked as like one of the 10 or 12 best safeties in the league. You can't put that guy on the bench. He's really good at what he does. So how they fit Emin Wari in, I think, is going to be really interesting in this rookie year, because I don't think you can get a guy that talented, because he's an absolute athletic phenom, and then just have him play third safety on like 10 snaps a game. You got to find a way to get that guy on the field.
Yeah, I mean, it also could be kind of a learning type of situation as well. And then maybe, next man up, something happens midway through the season. I mean, you're still trying to vet him out, right? I mean, you see how he comes down and plays during the preseason. I mean, maybe he comes and takes a spot. Maybe he beats somebody out. I mean, Julian, does he beat Julian out? I don't know, because they just signed Julian too. So, there's some money attached there. But, I mean, he could probably beat Kobe out, right? I mean, so – there's opportunity there. I mean, it's still early. You just never know once those pads come on and how hungry and thirsty he is to want to be able to get on the field and take that spot, So, and like you said, they signed a bunch of corners, and it's like you have 2 starters, but again, you're trying to get depth. You're trying to have to find that third guy, that nickel guy, or that guy that can go on the outside and keep, Witherspoon on the inside as a nickel for what he can do and his versatility there. They're creating some competition though. I mean, it's a stacked room, and there's only so many spots that you're gonna be able to get to stay on that team there. Even signing Shaq, it's like, I mean, it's not guaranteed that he makes the team. He could be gone at the end of training camp. Like again, I'm not gonna be surprised if he's gone after that. He's 30, he's 33, he's up there in age. You bring him back to kind of create some depth and see him as a mentor. See him push some guys. See if he has something in the tank to where he can kind of nudge somebody out and get on as a third cornerback, right? Because now he could be that outside corner, and Witherspoon goes inside, he can be that guy, right? So now, that third guy doesn't necessarily have to be a nickel guy. It could be an outside guy. And I think some of these guys that they brought in, lend themselves to be more of that third down outside corner. You keep Witherspoon on the inside there, and just kind of see how it goes. But I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't make it out of camp. Nope.
Yeah, and remember, this is a contract year for Reek Woolen and Kobe Bryant. They're both going to be motivated to play their best football so they can get paid next offseason by somebody, us or somebody else. And Woolen, he even said on X, he noticed that Sauce Gardner got his money just earlier today. The $30 million a year, new record for a corner.
Wow.
Crazy.
That is crazy. It's amazing. And if you watch sometimes these guys booking these huge contracts and then get benched, like Marcus Williams, he signed a huge contract with Baltimore, and then a young kid beat him out, and he's making $17 million a year on the bench. So it's the money's a little bit different, huh, Walt?
It's just a little bit. Just missed the TV contracts.
Yeah.
And the gambling money and the
No, but I mean, and again, I think probably also for all the depth as well, because if Reek is going on, like maybe we don't even have the money to sign him back, right? If Sauce is getting 30, he's gonna want to get 30 somewhere near that. So they're maybe planning for the future. You have guys in there knowing the scheme, guys that can kind of go back in there and plug and play. I wouldn't be surprised that being the case either, though. Honestly, like you're expecting him to be gone. We just can't afford it.
Remember, we might have to pay Witherspoon 31 next year. And
Megan, who do you pay? I mean, who would you rather pay? Would you rather offset it and wait till let Tyreek go because you have some other corners that can step in, and you pay Witherspoon because you like what he brings, right? Because I mean, this is their draft class. I mean, this current coaching regime didn't draft Tyreek though, right? So you can afford to let him go. You keep Witherspoon because you drafted Witherspoon as part of your first draft class. So you keep that guy there.
Witherspoon's a perfect fit for what McDonald wants to do, I think, as well. A guy who can play anywhere. I don't think you're letting that guy go. So can you pay 2 corners like that? That's hard, right? The Jets had to let DJ Reed go to pay Sauce Gardner. Like they didn't keep both guys.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So one thing you're looking forward to most, Brendan, this season?
I think the thing I'm looking forward to the most should be, I'm going to say, I'm just going to say this pass rush. I think this pass rush is the most exciting thing here. This should be a group that really gets after the quarterback because they should be dominant on the interior. And there are good edge rushers everywhere in this league. They're all over the place. There are not that many great interior rushers. And we should have a couple of them this year with Big Cat and Murphy. And that should do most of the heavy lifting. And then you throw in McDonald's blitz packages, and then you throw in the edge rushers, which we have a deep class of edge rushers. Should be able to get after the quarterback constantly.
Well, what are you looking forward to?
I mean, I want to see the defense ball out. I want to set a high standard for them. I want to see them average, 14 points a game. That'll be better than what we averaged in that Super Bowl run. They can go do that situation. And I'm excited to see what the running backs do. I'm looking for Charbonnet to have a big year, get a little bit more touches there. I want him to kind of just go out. I just love his type of running style. he can be shifty and quick and elusive, but then he can also lower that shoulder and want to get very physical. I just love that as a running back position there. So I'm actually excited to see him have a big year.
Yeah. And you know, the one guy that keeps getting brushed over is this McIntosh, but man, every time he just touches the ball, something exciting happens. You know, but when you have the other two, they're so much better. So for me, I'm ready. I am so ready for us to not have to discuss our offensive line. And I think you know what? I think it's just a bunch of no-name cats that are just tired of taking the heat. And it just takes one unit to come together and say, man, we are gonna ball out and do the best we can for our team, knowing we're the weak link, knowing that we have been for the past however long. And it's just time. It's time for it to end, you know. And we got some young guys that just don't know any better. And so hopefully they show up and they come together as a unit and they're doing some stuff. And hopefully the coaching staff is supporting them and giving them the confidence that young guys need. You've brought up a few times, Brendan, you know, is like, okay, rookie seasons and next seasons and, you know, and getting acclimated. I'll tell you, as an offensive lineman, the hardest thing to get acclimated to is the speed of the defensive front linebackers and DBs, man. There is not a slow cat on that field, and they're all big and they're all athletic and they all move all the time. And so it was amazing to see that differential as I progressed along. And I hope that happens, and I'm looking forward to it happening. But only time will tell. Like Walter said a few times, don't know until we get the pads on. So we'll see how those big boys dance, man. You know,
I'm ready for it.
Yeah, we got some athletes. All right, we're just wrapping up, and Walt and I have a couple announcements, but preseason record prediction.
Preseason record prediction?
No. Well, it's before the season started, so we're predicting now what our season record is going to be.
I'm going to go with 11 wins right now. I started at 10. Right now I'm at 11. I might change my mind again after the preseason, though. We'll see. I need to see this preseason first.
So that's what I think the over under. I think it's the same
7.5.
Yeah.
What is it?
7.5.
Right.
Yeah, same as last year, man. That was, you know what? Was such an easy money bet. The only way it would have gotten messed up is if I bet it. So I didn't do it because if I would have put money on it, something would have happened because that was such a layup. I knew we were going to win all these 8 games. Anyhow, Walter, how many think we're going to win?
I mean, we're playing the AFC South and we're playing the NFC South this season as the main 2 conferences, and like those are some favorable games in there. Yeah. I think I'd say like 10 wins. I'd say 10.5 wins. You know, again, it's gonna come down to the preseason. It's gonna come down to our health, right? I think that's gonna be the biggest things. I'm not too worried about our defense is our strongest asset collectively because the majority of guys are coming back this year, and we kind of enhanced it a little bit with some veteran leadership with DeMarcus Lawrence there coming back in there. So I think we can keep games in order, and then it's going to come back down to how are we controlling the clock? Hey, what's that offensive line doing? Can we run the ball efficiently? We don't want to get behind and have to start throwing the ball, but then that goes back to the defense having to be stout in that capacity, so where we don't have to just kind of focus on just pass to the whole thing there. So I think 10 wins is in range in that capacity. I think 7.5 is just beyond me, so low that they have us at that. But I can see that where the question marks from them is the offense, right? It's just like, we got Sam Darnold here, we got all your receiving core replaced and moved, and what happens to Cooper Kupp because he was injured last season. Obviously the offensive line, so new offensive coordinator. So I get all those things, but I think we can kind of persevere through that and win some games that we're probably not supposed to, and we got to capitalize on the games that we do though. I think it's the NFL. No games are going to be rollovers, but we just can't be lulled to sleep by who we're playing though.
Well, I'm going to tell you now. I'm going to reach out to my buddy Raphael. I was going to try and get Raphael on the show tonight. But UFC is in New Orleans, and he's in New Orleans. UFC is there, so he's covering UFC. but he was going to come on and give us all the lines. And I'll tell you what, if that doggone thing's a 7.5, I'm gonna put $10 on it. But yeah, they're going over 7.5, and I'm in line with you guys. I think 10 or 11. I think we're gonna surprise some people, and I think it's gonna be a really fun season. So Brendan, hey, thanks so much for joining us, buddy. We always truly appreciate hanging out with you and your expertise and your knowledge, and I mean you're bringing up names, three deep on the depth chart. Is Pops there next to you?
He's not here right now. No.
Oh, okay. Well,
He's
say
around.
say hello to Metal Hawk for me. From us, and
Yep.
from the show, we appreciate you guys, and continued luck, and we'll catch you halfway through the season where we do a little catch up and see how well we did on our predictions.
All right, man. Sounds good to me.
All right, brother. We'll see you, man.
Good seeing you.
Thanks for
Hey,
having me.
Walter, hang on. We're gonna talk about some events. I just want to be conscientious of Brendan's time. Unless you want to hang out, you can hang out. But just so you know, we've been talking about doing some watch parties here in the Orange County in Southern California, and we all know about Cedric out in LA, and the backstage is it the backstage? Well,
He's backstage.
yeah, and some big venues, and we have not had a presence in Orange County at all. I just met with the owner of Malarkey's, and he is completely supportive of us holding watch parties for the games, the Sunday games, and so stay tuned for that. We're going to get up on all the different charts and get that Orange County contingent. When I moved here, and I've shared this with you, Walter, when I moved here, we walked into a place and there was 350 people, standing room only, watching Seahawks games, and that's the way it should be. That makes it exponentially more fun, especially if we're winning. And so stay tuned for major announcements on watch parties. Also, some of the major dates: September 7th. I don't know if you know this yet, Walt, but that's our alumni game. So a bunch of alumni will be heading up. So I'm sure the Seahawkers and the 12 will be having their parties raging, and so it hasn't been announced to you guys. It's going to be September 7th, and then also a friend of the show, Kenny, runs his Phoenix Takeover, and that's already being booked. I think Earl is going to be Earl Thomas is going to be hosting one of the big events the night before the game. Have you heard that yet, Walt?
Nope.
Okay. Well, you have now. You have now, because Kenny's already, huh?
And where?
In Phoenix, the Phoenix
Oh,
Takeover.
Phoenix.
Yeah,
Where's
I
he
did
there?
that last year with Anne Marie and some of the friends of the show were there, and I will tell you what, I thought we were in Seattle. Dead serious. I didn't see it in two adjacent huge bars of 500 plus people. I didn't see a single Cardinals uniform or hat. It was all Seahawkers, and so whatever weekend that is, put it on your calendar, because if you have not been to Phoenix for Kenny's Takeover party, it is a must, because it's a blast, and they're great spots, right by the stadium, walking distance to everything. It's very convenient, and those are the only dates I have on my calendar. Hey Brendan, anything else that you're doing that people can follow you on other than the Bleacher Report? Is there another show that you're doing?
Well, you mean other than the YouTube thing, right? The Seahawks Brendan Nelson thing.
Okay.
I mean, I am on X. I am on Facebook. I don't do a ton of things there, but I am on those sites. I'm on Instagram. It's all Seahawks Brendan Nelson or some very close equivalent. I'm doing movie reviews on Letterboxd as well, I guess, but that's not going to appeal to everybody. Yeah.
Okay. So what's your genre? What's your favorite? Are you like a Marvel guy, or are you a horror guy, or is it just any movie?
I watch all kinds of stuff. I like crime. I like crime the most.
Yes,
I'd say.
I'm a crime guy.
Mhm.
Yeah, it drives Anne-Marie nuts. I watch Snap. What about you, Walt? What's your favorite movie genre?
Ooh. Yeah, I like crime. I like thrillers.
All right.
Depending on the situation, on some dramas there. I've been watching. It's on Apple TV. Been watching Smoke. It's a TV series.
I've heard of that.
With
What's that about?
It's about an arson investigator trying to find two arsonists, two serial arsonists in their. I think it's like outside of DC maybe, and Yeah, he's trying to find these 2 serial arsonists, and he's a
Okay.
serial. He's a
What's
arson
that on?
investigator. It's on Apple TV.
Oh,
I can't go too deep into it because it go watch the first episode. You'll get the gist of it. It's pretty good though. It's pretty good.
I got to check with Anne Marie, see if we have that. I have literally every freaking thing to stream, and so I have to imagine that we have it. I'm just glad you didn't say romantic comedy. Oh, hey, that's our show for this week. Next week, like I said, I hope we're going to have Blitz join us. Some of the players are coming back from vacation, and we were talking to Steve Hauschka. He couldn't make it tonight, but one of the Walt's teammates from the Super Bowl champ team, and we'll get some guys on to join us, and we'll just keep talking Seahawks football. Have a blessed night, and we're looking forward to is it our third season or third season?
Yep.
Walt, third season?
Yeah,
Yeah.
third season.
Oh, yeah. And then next week too, I didn't want to do it without announcing it. So next week, we're gonna give away our Hawk Tawk autographed mini helmet, which is a pretty cool deal. So all you gotta do is be watching the show. We're gonna pick a listener to win it. We'll mail it off to you. Any other points? Anything else you want to bring up, Walt?
Nothing right now. Go Hawks. Yeah.
Go Hawks! All right, Brendan. Thanks again, buddy. We'll see you all next week.
All right. See you later.